This episode of the Flush Podcast is brought to you by our partners in the field, North Dakota Tourism. Plan a hunt this fall in North Dakota and find out why their bird hunting opportunities are legendary. Federal Premium Ammunition, makers of the Prairie Storm ammunition loads. Every time you purchase a box of Prairie Storm, you are contributing directly to Pheasants Forever's mission. Plus, I've shot those shells for several years now, and they are lethal. And lastly, by Rufflin Kennels. Give your bird dog a safe, comfortable ride in a Rufflin Performance Kennel. Today is Tuesday, April 7th, and many Americans are being asked to stay at home and stay away from people. And there is no better place to stay away from people than in the great outdoors. And it just so happens that there are many natural wonders happening right now in the great outdoors, and we are going to talk about them with a man that brings his camera along to capture every beautiful moment. Welcome to another episode of the Flush Podcast. My name is Travis Frank. I am your host. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you and your families are safe and you're doing well. It's a crazy time that we're in right now. We have been, oh my goodness, it doesn't matter where you look or who you talk to. It's almost impossible to get away from COVID-19 crisis. The COVID-19 crisis talk is everywhere. So let's be positive here today. It's Tuesday, April 7th. There's a lot of things happening in the outdoor world, and I want to talk about them. And my guest today is Steve Oehlenschlager. Steve, did I say that correctly?
Yes, that's perfect.
Wonderful. Steve, if somebody said, what is it you do? What would you tell them?
Oh, I tell them I try to capture everything that's out there the way I see it or the way I'd like to see it. And because most people just don't realize what's actually out there, especially hunters. You know, they only go out in the fall, so they never see what it's like in the spring and at the different times. So that's what I try to do. I try to capture things that people would like, that people get to miss out on all the time.
When you say capture, what do you mean capture?
With my photographs, you know, I like to capture the moment.
Right. You are a professional photographer. How long have you been doing it?
About 5 years on the more professional side, and I've been doing it for about 12 years. That I was, you know, so I've been very busy. So for years I was just taking pictures by myself, and really not even sharing them with anybody. And it was just, you know, something I just did with our different group of people, especially in the fall hunting, and, you know, I take pictures in the spring. So nobody really ever got to see them outside of a group of about 10 people. And everybody kept saying they were so good, but, you know, you never believe them, you know?
So this is something that you self-taught, right?
Yes. I had a photography class once in 9th grade, and many years ago. And I just, everything else was just, you know, just self-taught and just learning on the fly. It's like you make lots of mistakes, but it was just something, you know, I read everything I could and just, you know, practice in the field. And it's just something that, you know, it just came to me naturally.
Well, I think for a lot of people, they see these photos, you know, in magazines or wherever the photos pop up, but, you know, particularly in magazines. And it's almost like this intimidation factor that they say, I can't do that. I mean, look at that photo. It's amazing. Wow, how did he get that? Or I'll never be able to do it. But the reality is, and I can somewhat speak to this because I have a similar passion for outdoor photography. I started kind of almost the same time you did, about 15 years ago. But you can go out and just do it. Like, there's no right or wrong when it comes to photography. The cameras today are incredible. So you don't need to go to all of this school and take lessons to be a photographer, right?
No, especially with the way digital photography is. It's so forgiving. It's the cameras today are so spectacular, and and it is unbelievable what you can take that's not a good picture and sometimes edited into a good picture just because of the ability of the software that you could never do with film. And so it really gives you a cushion, you know. So
Right.
and plus it's like if that duck sits there, you could take 100 pictures of that duck. In the old days with film, you know, you'd have been done in 24 pictures, and and it would have took you 10 times longer.
Right. And if you don't like it, worst case scenario, you just hit the delete button. It's gone.
That's what I always tell everybody. Take more, they're free. It's like it
Right.
doesn't cost you anything to push the shutter a few more times.
That's right. What inspired you to get started in outdoor photography? I mean, because you grew up a hunter, right?
Yes, it was. I always just envied, especially hunting pictures out in the field with bird dogs and hunters. And I always liked photographing our group hunts. And I always dreamed that my quality would be such that it could be in a magazine. So it was just, I just kept pushing myself to that. And it was just, even though we weren't sharing any pictures, it was just for our group of people. It was just, I just had this determination that they had to be really nice. And then it just kind of went from there.
Where have your photos been published now?
Oh, they have been. I've had pictures photographed in Outdoor Life, Field and Stream, Ducks Unlimited, Pheasants Forever, National Wildlife, and just about every other magazine I can think of offhand.
That give you a little sense of gratitude there? I mean, you feel proud about that?
Yes, it's like you don't, the very first time when it happens, you're just in awe because it's like, oh, I didn't think that picture was that good, and then but it is quite rewarding, especially when people get to see your pictures of your hunting dog or your friend's hunting dog, or and so it is kind of nice. It was never a financial thing. It was always just a reward, just to see that great shot in the field that and you could share with others.
Right. Is it something where you can make it on just photography alone? I know there's a few people out there doing it, but is it a lucrative business?
No, but it's the same thing that made it easy for me, made it easy for thousands of people across the country, and it's something that it pays for itself. It does everything I ever wanted it to, but it's virtually very hard to make a living at it, just because there's so much other free content out there these days. And then it's tough, but it's like I enjoy it. But it's nothing.
Yeah, so you're saying you're saying you're not in this for the money.
No. It's like but that's you got to have a hobby, I guess. It's just something that you enjoy, and I do enjoy it. But I have got to a level where you do sell enough to it does finance your equipment and such. It's not a losing proposition by any means, but it's very difficult to just make it a career.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can get into some of the gear necessities that you think are important in a little while, but right now out there's a lot happening, and given the state of what we're all being asked to do, you live in Minnesota, I live in Minnesota, but I know there are a lot of other states in the country that are being told, hey, you need to stay home, or if you go outdoors, you need to stay a certain distance away from other people. I get that. I respect that. But at the same time, man, my sanity, I'm not an indoorsman. I am not an avid indoorsman by any stretch, and I need to get outside. And right now, every time I go outside, the migration up here in the Midwest is just incredible. The ducks, the birds, and on top of that, sharp-tailed grouse are going to be dancing on leks. I mean, what are you seeing out there right now? What are you taking your camera into the field to capture?
The last few days it has been wood ducks. The wood ducks are just thick in my backyard. I'm very fortunate enough to live where I can walk 100 yards out my back door and photograph wood ducks all morning long. It's amazing. And so I just love doing that. typically do that every morning after work for an entire month. And that's something that I have a real a lucky a deal there that I can do that. And then, so that's what I've been focusing the last few days, but it's like I would like to get out and do a little more traveling in the next week for sharp-tailed grouse and prairie chickens, because you're right, it's amazing what you can do in the spring. And that's especially most hunters that they see their sharp-tailed grouse one week in the fall. They don't even realize what they're like, what they do in the spring, and the behaviors. And it's it's something to get out in the field. There's nothing more refreshing than a sunrise out on the prairie, having prairie chickens boom at 10 yards in front of you, and it's just breathtaking sometimes.
Where can you go to see them?
There's many places for sharp-tailed grouse in central Minnesota or northwestern Minnesota, and then northwestern Minnesota. Well, out in the I should say the Rothsay or Fargo area for prairie chickens.
Yep.
There's several places that you can find them on private and public land where you're allowed to photograph them. And then there's many private landowners where almost everybody will give you permission to go photograph things. They may not give you permission to hunt in the fall, but almost everybody will give you permission to photograph birds on their land.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the beauty of it too, and it's really interesting. I've done stories on them for some of our other television shows, and they dance on the lek, and that lek is like, hey, this is my dancing ground, and they're not going anywhere. So when they come out to dance, like, that this is where it's going to go down, and you can set up a blind just like a turkey blind right next to it, and they don't even care. They come right back out. Do you know if there's still some of the public land opportunities where the birds are dancing? I know in Minnesota they do this all over the Midwest, all over the range. So I know this isn't just a Minnesota thing, but I do know that some of the places in Minnesota actually set up blinds for people to go out and witness. Have you ever used any of those?
Yes, I have, and I've had very good luck with them. But generally what I'll do is I usually bring even a smaller blind, and I'll set it up a little bit closer, because the blinds they usually set up are just fine, but I like to get a little bit closer, and the birds don't mind one bit. It is unbelievable how a bird that is so spooky in the spring, they don't mind that little brown hump on the prairie at 25 feet away. It just amazes me every single time. It doesn't bother them. They totally ignore it. And it's like they're just oblivious to it. And in the opportunity,
well, they got one thing on their mind.
That exactly. And it is. It's like sometimes it's after you've been photographing for a while, you can even stick your head out the blind and look at them and talk to them sometimes, and they just ignore you. But then you go that extra 6 inches out of the blind, and then it freaks them out. But it's an opportunity that most people never get to see, and it's unfortunate because it's free. It's wonderful.
Right. What's the most speaking of sharp-tailed grouse or prairie chickens, when we hunt them, yeah, like you said, they're so spooky. But in the spring, when you're able to just watch them, what stands out to you?
Oh, everything. It's just the it's like it's a native bird, because most of our game birds now, I mean, are pheasants, they're Hungarian partridge, they're all introduced, and these are native. These have been here doing this for thousands of years. And it just the different browns. Everyone thinks that a bird has to be pretty because it has bright colors. It's like, but the different browns and tans and stuff like that. It's like it just takes you back, because it's like they've been doing this forever. You just realize that and to think that at one point that these birds numbered in the millions upon millions, and most people don't even realize that they were that common at one time. And now they're more, yes, they're in stable populations in some place, but they're still very remnant compared to what they actually were.
Are you one of those guys that puts on the leaf suits and, basically digs a hole in the ground, or does, all of those things to get really close to the creatures?
I have at times, and sometimes it does pay, especially in the spring, photographing ducks, that comes into play really good, especially because usually you're hunting, or you're hunting with your camera off a large tripod.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very. But for most upland birds, I use a small blind, and you can be wearing bright orange inside, and they would never even know. I can. It's kind of funny sometimes. It's like when you're photographing various grouse, you could be sitting there on your smartphone answering emails and doing everything modern inside, and they don't know anything that's going on, nor do they care. So it's
Right.
It's just amazing. It's like then you right outside, it's a whole different world. For waterfowl, it's usually all about the camouflage.
Yeah. So right now the birds are migrating through. What do you do to get close to them?
A lot of times is you approach it just like a hunter, and most of the best waterfowl photographers in the nation are hunters. And so, you set up decoy spreads, and you do everything you're going to hunt them in the fall, but you set them up in the spring, and you try to decoy them right in close, and because the ducks haven't been hunted in 2 months. So that's how usually most good waterfowl pictures are taken.
Wow.
And
okay. I've never. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like another hunting season for, just with the camera. And plus they're all in beautiful colors. So it's even more, entertaining to see that, because you don't get to see that in the fall.
Oh, they're so beautiful this time of the year. I guess I've never considered putting out the decoys in the spring. I've taken some spring photos of ducks. I love it. It's a great relaxing outlet to get out there. But I've never done the decoys. So typically when I'm duck hunting, if a bird comes close, he doesn't stay in the decoys very long. How do they interact with the decoys?
They usually they land, and they usually realize that something's not right. But it's not like in the fall. Sometimes it's like they're just not scared a bit, or it's like, especially the drakes, they might be interested in the hen decoys. It's like love is in the air, so they act totally different in the spring. It's but they do sometimes know things are up, but it's a harmless way of attracting them nice and close.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just gorgeous to watch. Flocks of canvasbacks work into your decoys and come in, because one thing with the camera, you can never have them too close. So, you really want to get them nice and close. But it's amazing when you see these flocks of beautiful full color birds working you in the spring that you will never see in the fall. It's worth the price of admission.
Right. That's kind of why I wanted to just discuss this topic with you, because, the last few days I've been out and just really watching what's happening around here. And I know it's happening in the Dakotas. I mean, it's really happening all over the country right now, this migration, and obviously the spring mating and the leks and all the things that these birds are doing. It's just a great peace of mind. Get out there and see it and get away from the news for just a little while. Okay, so Steve, you've got a collection of birds at your place too, correct?
Yes. I raise a different variety of grouse. I've always been fascinated by native grouse. I raise prairie chickens and sharp-tailed, I do not have sharp-tailed grouse. Prairie chickens, spruce grouse, and rough grouse.
Really? So
yes.
When did this start and why?
I had my first prairie chickens 30 years ago. It's just something that they're difficult to raise, but it's just something that I like doing. It gives me a peace of mind. It's some people like flipping on the TV when they get home. I like going out and watching my prairie chickens walk around, and I have a really nice facility. It's like it's a real natural looking setting. It's just something that it's just fun to do. I've always I've raised birds for almost 40 years off and on. It's just I always thought if you're going to raise cool birds, that they should be really cool ones.
So which ones are the most challenging birds to raise? Are they all the same?
And they're all the same, and they all have challenges. But it can be done. It's nothing I do for a real profit. It's just something I do. It pays for itself. It's like I trade with other breeders. It's just something that But yeah, they all have their little quirks. It's like, rough grouse can be raised in captivity just fine, but you got to keep them separate because the males want to kill the females. And they all have little quirks that you have to learn how to, to deal with. It's not like, where people can raise pheasants in captivity and just, raise 1,000 of them out of a little pen. It's not that way, but it's quite satisfying, rewarding to do it.
How much land do you need to be able to give them the space?
I have about 2/3 of an acre under netting out there for about 75 birds. So they're not too crowded. So they get about 10 times more space than it would be if someone was raising, ringneck pheasants or something like that. Because, my pens are all natural looking with switchgrass and prairie grass in them. So they look all really nice.
Gotcha. So that's the secret behind all of those amazing photos you take.
Oh, I wish it was that easy, but it's like, it's so rewarding. I can't hear it right now because it's kind of the weather's kind of crappy outside, but a lot of times I can hear the prairie chickens booming right inside my house. They're about 100 yards away, but the sound travels right inside the house. It's like you can lie in bed and you can hear them. It's like you just can't believe how cool that is to hear that every spring.
Wow. How long do they live in captivity?
They live about the longest, maybe 7 or 8 years. They live, in the wild, considering the average lifespan is probably lucky if it's 2 years, so they live, they live pretty good. And they get to, and it's funny. They're all like dogs. They all have their little personalities. They're not all the same. Some don't like me, some love me, some want to kill me, some want to, don't want nothing to do with me. They're all a little bit different, so it's kind of cool.
Have you seen the documentary on Netflix right now that's gone viral, The Tiger King?
Yeah, yes, I watched that. I watched that last week when I was on, home quarantine kind of. It's like, yeah.
I feel like I've got the Grouse King on here right now.
Yeah. Although we it's it's a little different out there. I don't. Yeah.
Yes. You don't have Grouse TV or anything like that going.
No, reality show or anything like that.
You're not running for governor.
No. I just want low key. Just everything is yeah. No,
so
nothing like that.
So this is really for you. Is it for your family or is it just you? I mean, do you let people come out and watch these birds?
Yes, I had I cannot pronounce his name, but I had a local artist out, actually a pretty national recognized artist, and he was taking pictures for reference material the other day. And I let people come out and take a look at him because a lot of people, never see him, and and to see him, see a rough grouse male at 6 feet from you strutting around and and yelling at you because you're invading his space. It's quite interesting. I thought I did a good job. I married a city woman and she loves the birds sometimes even more than I do. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I mean you can't see something as amazing as some of these wild creatures up close and not be moved by them. I know the Tiger King, we were just laughing about that, but there's something powerful about these wild animals, and in a lot of ways, you've got these birds that are so most of us see them for a split second if we're lucky, and if we can get a shot off, otherwise we're just watching wings flap as they're getting the hell out of Dodge, after we flush them. But to just see them, to watch them, there's something pretty powerful about that.
Part of the thing is that I think makes my photography successful is that I've raised birds for years. It's not the raising birds have done, but the being around birds. You learn to anticipate things. You learn to read them. You learn to understand what they're doing, and you get a feel for that. Then in the field, that this bird is going to do such and such a thing, or those birds are totally relaxed, or these birds are on alert. Some people don't read that very well. And so it really helps with my photography when you understand what the bird's doing. And most successful photographers are on the same page, that you understand your quarry. So so that, they're relaxed, that they're going to do this type of behavior. You get ready, because most of the time when people are photographing things, they don't, that just happened. I didn't even realize that was going to happen. A lot of times, certain things are going to happen, and you're ready for them.
Mm-hmm. Do you think being a photographer like this, spending that much time out there, makes you a better hunter?
Oh, definitely. You understand birds. You understand where they tend to live a little bit. Yes, I definitely do think it makes a better hunter. I do. Oh, I just think with waterfowl, especially, it's like, I mean, you can decoy them in the spring. You learn, you get double your season. You can decoy more birds on a nice spring day than you can almost on an entire fall hunting season if you hit it right sometimes. And so you can learn, how to do things better.
Right. Yeah, most of those images that people see in these magazines and stuff, I would imagine they're mostly taken in the spring, right?
Yes. Very few are taken in the fall unless it's an actual hunting scene or something with hunters. But yes, most bird pictures are actually taken out of season when they're at their fullest colors. Or a lot of times though, they might, especially the people in California, get real lucky with waterfall, so they have some nice refuges and stuff, so they can take pictures in season. But yeah, most of them are taken in the spring.
One thing that I learned personally many years ago, but it still applies today, and it'll apply to anybody listening that might be interested in their own photography. But you can't just say, all right, I'm gonna go right now and get the best shot. Like, I'm gonna go get this shot of ducks doing this, or like, you have to invest time if you want to get the award-winning shots. You have to be out there. And usually what I've learned is, even if I try to manufacture something that I think is going to look awesome, it never does. It's always a shot that happens off the cuff on accident. I happen to be in the right place at the right time. The sun's at the right angle. The bird does this, or the deer or the critter or whatever it is. Like, you just need to invest the time more than anything, right?
That is 99% accurate. Some of the best shots I've ever taken. One particular shot that has come to mind. I got a shot of flushing covey of Hungarian partridges. I saw them for one split second on the ground. The camera is already almost set exactly to settings that I needed to do. I had the camera out the window. I was in my truck. I had the camera out the window. They flushed within 2 seconds. I made the shot. The light was perfect. I could not have manufactured a shot like that. And it's because it's all about being ready, or having your, like I tell people, it doesn't do any good to have the nicest camera case in the world. It's like when I'm driving down the road, my camera's on the dashboard. I got one in the front seat as well. You have to be ready. Yes, it's like I can't tell you enough how many times I might go photographing a prairie chickens, and all of a sudden something, I get a photograph of a massive, or a duck in the ditch that was banded. It's like those opportunities are never planned. It's like, it happens all the time.
Well, and the other thing about hunting with a camera versus hunting with a gun is, like you said, if you were out there with a gun and you were shooting at those critters, you would never see that duck in the ditch with the band, because it would have spooked from the gunshot or whatever. Like,
yes.
You're gonna see the animals behave in ways that you would never see when they're being hunted. That's one thing that, growing up, I spent a lot of time in the woods and in the fields, just watching and observing. Like, I was just, as a little kid, really young, I was fascinated with these wild animals, and I would just watch them in their natural element and learn their behaviors and understand them. And I think, even to this day, a lot of that information is just burned in, and it makes me overall, I think, a better hunter. It doesn't help my shot some days, but it makes me a better hunter to understand the birds, that understand the game that I'm pursuing, because I see them for more than just that split second when they happen to dash through the woods or flush out of the grass way out of range.
Yes, and then especially like with waterfowl in the spring, in the fall, you might have 50,000 ducks on one particular lake, and they're all 300 yards from shore, keeping their distance from hunters. But in the spring, those 50,000 ducks are all in every single little pond, 7 feet from the road here, 2 feet from over the road. They're in places where they should be, but most hunters never see that. They're like that. So that's what's just unbelievable in the spring is you get to see them in their natural habitat, unfazed by people, and acting a little bit more relaxed.
And it's literally happening right now. If you go out
Yes.
today, I mean, we're recording this on Tuesday, April 7th, and it's happening right now. Just go out there and watch. Just go get that peace of mind for yourself to just, even if it's a half hour, go sit on the edge of a slough and watch these birds come in, because it's a spectacular view. So if somebody wanted to bring a camera along that doesn't have one, I mean, obviously right now there's a lot of retail that's closed, but we have some pretty good technology even on our phones. What are some basic cameras or some basic equipment people can use to get some nice photos?
Virtually any entry level, ideally, if you really want to take nice pictures, it's with a DSLR digital, and they're very reasonable, especially the entry level models for both Canon and Nikon, and they are, I honestly, I don't, they're quite reasonable. I think there's some of them are as low as $400 or $500, but those cameras can take pictures better than the $3,000 cameras of 8 years ago. It's like, so the amount of what that camera can do is just amazing, and you're never close enough. It's like, that's my curse too. No matter when you're a photographer, you're never close enough. So it's like, you don't think that these, you're going to, well, I'm not close enough. Well, I'm never close enough either. You're always wanting to be closer no matter how much you get. But it's like the stuff out there, it can take I mean, even I've seen pictures with cell phones that sometimes it's like this. The cell phone of today can take a picture better than, some of the best film cameras of, 10 years ago. It's amazing, especially, for portrait
really
or for landscape type pictures. It's like, and I've asked people, I said, what camera did you take that? And I was like, my iPhone, and I couldn't believe it.
Right. Yeah. I started out with the regular.
Yeah, because I actually was like, I asked this guy, it's like, what camera are you using to get these shots? It's like, oh, just my iPhone, and I just couldn't believe it. It's because they were just amazing. It's one of those things.
I started out with the.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The part of the thing that's difficult about recording these podcasts digitally is that we can't be in the same place right now. Normally we'd be sitting in the studio together, and now we've got this feed that we're recording through. So I apologize for stepping on you, and I know you didn't mean to do that either. So that's just the technology that we're working with here, and that's the life that we're all living in. Anyway, what I was going to say was that when I started, I had a Canon Rebel.
Yeah.
And that's your basic model. But that goes back to, you really you're gonna get what you put into it, as far as investing a little bit of time in getting close and hiding from the game and letting them come to you. And that you're gonna get great shots with that camera, just like you would with the really, really, really expensive one. I've since upgraded a little bit up to a Canon 60, and I really like that for a lot of different, portraits and family stuff, and just it's like a good all-around camera. But is there one good, in your opinion, all-around camera with a lens that you can recommend?
Oh, honestly, not really. Especially, I'm very unfamiliar with Canon stuff. I shoot Nikon, so I have 3 different Nikon cameras, and they all take phenomenal pictures, and every one I've ever used to take in awesome. It's the camera can do it. It's usually up to the person to maximize its usage and to figure out how to take the best pictures. It's like they all have the capability of taking phenomenal shots. One of my most favorite shots, and I actually won a Ducks Unlimited photo contest with it about 6-7 years ago, and it was taken with my entry-level Nikon camera in my backyard. It was just, they all have that capability. It's like they all have as they get more expensive, they all have more bells and whistles. And granted, they take a little bit nicer pictures, but it's all up to the individual to to learn how to use that machine. The best thing I tell people is, it's like, if you really want to get good at photography, you got to take it off automatic mode and you got to learn how to use it. If you can learn how to use it, you can take any kind of picture you want.
Yep. Well, and I would even say too that even if they're not ready to do that, that's what intimidates a lot of people, is they don't know the camera, they don't know aperture and all these other things. So there are settings on some of these cameras that will give you what you want in a photo, and it will be worthy of being sold in magazines. And it's just with the settings that the camera comes with too. So when you take photos, and I do this afterwards, is I use Adobe Lightroom. This is an editing software. Which one do you use?
I use Camera Raw and Photoshop. It's just a step up. It's just one that I always had, so that's one I've always stuck with. But all those programs work. Lightroom just works phenomenal. Many people I know use that, and that is one thing too. It's like, and I'm not gonna lie, it's like, I always thought when I first started off with photography that it was 90% taking the picture, 10% editing, but it really is about 60% taking the picture and about 40% editing. It's like the editing is more important than people realize. It's just unfortunately it's the way it goes, it's not hard to learn how to do it. You can be creative. It's like, you're the artist. You can do whatever you want to your picture to have it, turn out. There's no guidelines that say you have to do this, you have to do this. And it's kind of fun sometimes, especially when you get a little creative.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. And when you see the finished product and you look at it and you say, dang, that was cool. And then you look back and you say, wow, I got to spend 3 hours outside doing that. And it's something like, I learned a little bit here. Next time I go, I'm going to learn a little bit more, just like anything else that we're doing out there. So photography is a great outlet. But for you, which one, now that you've done this for so long, you're a hunter as well. So if you had to do just one, would you bring the camera or would you bring your shotgun?
Oh, out the camera, without a doubt. I prefer bringing the camera. Usually I walk with all my other, with our other group, and I just prefer the camera. It's just something that it's much more enjoyable.
You hunt up in North Dakota every year, right?
Yes.
What's your guys' story up there?
Oh, I started going to North Dakota in 1987, and I've never stopped. It's just something about the prairie that just calls my name every fall, and especially the photographic opportunities, when we're hunting, and the mixed bag, it's just, I've always just loved it. It's just, I don't know what it is, but when the sun starts setting in the west in the fall, it's like, it just calls me to go out there.
The lighting is just perfect in the fall too. I'm really glad that we get to film a lot in the fall, because you just, like you said, you get out on that prairie. Do you ever go out there in the spring?
Yes, I do occasionally. It's like I was, unfortunately this spring I was banned from far travel from the wife, because she didn't, because of the whole their COVID-19 thing going on right now, which is so unfortunate, but yeah, so yes, I went out in the spring, and it's just amazing. Like I said, you can, almost every single person you ever ask will give you access to their land to photograph things. You can go to places you could never go to when you're, in the fall for hunting. There's birds everywhere. I mean, in the fall there might be, 500 pheasants winter in this one area, but in the spring they're all over. So they're almost everywhere. So it's much, everything is just spread out. There's birds everywhere. It's just unbelievable what you can see. I mean, and you could be out there, even in the fall, you might not see many people, but in the spring you could go an entire day and never see another individual ever. It's amazing. And you just and the birds are so vocal. The things you see, you just never could ever dream about, especially as a hunter, because you will not see this in the fall like this. It's
Yep, I call that good social distancing right there.
Oh,
and the beauty of it is that we all can do it right now. Last two questions. what is your favorite bird to photograph? And if you have one piece of advice for somebody that wants to go out today, tomorrow, the next day, and try to photograph some birds, what would that be?
My favorite one is wood ducks. I could do that all day long, and I don't know why, but I have 20,000 images of wood ducks. But it's like I just fascinated by that. But the one piece of advice, if you could do, is you just got to be patient. It doesn't happen that quickly sometimes. Probably it's 90% wait and 10% action. But when that action happens, it's well worth it. It's like you just can't believe how rewarding it is to when you get home and you capture that perfect image, and it's just well worth it.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I appreciate you taking the time today. I can feel your passion coming through. Your photos are incredible. People that have not seen them yet, where can they go to see your photos?
I publish a lot of them on Instagram, on Steve Oehlenschlager in Instagram. So that I just like letting people see them. It's just something. It's enjoyable to share. I have no, some people don't like to share things and they keep it private. I love showing what I take. It's just enjoyable.
Well, I enjoy looking at them. You do great work. So keep it up. And gosh, maybe someday I'll jump in a blind and watch these birds dance with you and try to see if I can keep up with your photography skills. In the meantime, if there are anybody that has any questions for you, can they reach out to you?
Yes, sure. Yes, that'd be no problem. They can reach through. I'm on Facebook. They could message me through Facebook at Steve Oehlenschlager, or on Instagram as well. And I have no problems. I like teaching people how to take better pictures and give them all the help they can.
Perfect. We have a lot of technology at our disposal today, and right now we have the ability to go out and take advantage of it. So I hope you do. I hope you stay safe. I hope your family as well, and enjoy the outdoors a little bit safely, I guess we'll call it right now. And pretty soon we'll all be back out in the field together. Oh, I can't wait for it. We'll see you next time on the Flush Podcast.